All right, Unit 4, Video 3 is all about plots or graphs. So we're going to learn about the dot plot, we're going to learn about the histogram, and we're going to learn about the box plots, which is also known as the box and whisker graphs. A dot plot is a statistical chart consisting of data points plotted on a fairly simple scale, typically using filled-in circles. All right, so this example is minutes to eat breakfast. So a survey of how long does it take you to eat breakfast has these results. So as you can see down here, you know how many minutes, and I had to continue it down here because I ran out of room going that way. And then the people, so there were 6 people that had 0 minutes, 2 people that said yes to 1 minute, 3 people that said yes to 2 minutes, 5 people that said yes to 3 minutes, and so on. We're going to make a dot plot of this data. Okay, so we're simply going to make dots. So 0 had 6 people. So we'd do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, for 1 minute, there was 2 people that said they take 1 minute. For 2 people, it was 3 minutes. And I went ahead and filled in the rest of it. So we had 3, 5, 4, 2, 5 minutes had 5 people saying that. Now notice on here, the 6 and 7, okay? Because nobody said that they had 6 minutes or 7 minutes to eat breakfast. They didn't take that long. So those, there are no dots. There's just nothing that needs to be there. So I left them blank. Okay? So this would be the dot plot for the table that you saw. Now, a dot plot can also be used in a different way. So this is going to be the same data, different representation of the dot plot, but this one requires you to have the numbers listed on the side here. On this column, you have to have the numbers listed because we're just going to simply put a dot where it is. So at 0, there's 6 people that said yes to 0. At 1, there was 2 people. At 2, there was 3 people. So again, I went ahead and finished the rest of it for you. So as you can see, it's still the same data. In some ways, I find this more complex because I've got to look at both the left and the right, or I have to look at both this column and this column instead of just counting up. So you can use either. Typically, when the dot plots, you're going to see the dots moving up as opposed to this one, but I just wanted to make sure you knew this was also called a dot plot. A histogram, which is a graphical display of data using bars of different heights. And then I put in there, remember, the bars all touch. That is different than a bar graph when they don't touch. A histogram groups numbers into ranges, which you decide what ranges to use. And then histograms are a graphical representation of how many times different mutually exclusive events are observed in an experiment. All right, so here's an example. Graph the following data into a histogram. These are the heights of 16 adults in centimeters. So here you have a bunch of numbers, okay? I went ahead and chose intervals for you. You could have chosen whatever intervals you wanted, but typically when I see numbers like this, I'm thinking, okay, I'm in my tens, but with 100 in front of it. So I'm gonna do a tally, or I'm gonna count up, okay? And when I do so, when I count, I get one that goes in the 140 to 150 range, because if you look up here, there's only the 147. So in case if you needed to, you could close that off. In the 151 to 160, if you notice here, there's 0. There's none of those. In the 161 to 170, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That was a big one. And 171 to 180, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the 181 to 190, we have 1, 2, and that'd be it. Okay, so now I put it into a chart where I'm going to make a histogram on the next slide of the chart I just made. Okay, so to make a histogram, I saw that in my 140 to 150 range, it only went up 1. Okay, so that bar goes there. My 151 to 160 didn't have a bar because it was 0. My 161 to 170 had 7. So I'm going to go up here to 7, draw my bar. 171 to 180 had 6. So I'm going to be at my 6 mark, and notice I made my bars connect. And 181 to 190, I had 2. Okay? And there would be my histogram for this data. Okay? All right, and the last one is box and whisker plots. So creating, we're going to order the data in numerical order from least to greatest. Then, number 2, we need to find the median. If you have an even number of values, the median is the average of the middle 2 values. Then, we're going to find the first quartile and the third quartile. These are the medians of the lower and upper half of the values. Do not include the median when finding these values. And we can do this on the calculator too. We're going to see that come into play here. And then we're going to mark the minimum and maximum to form the whiskers or the endpoints. Okay, so example says, draw the box and whisker plot for the following data set. And we're given 77, 79, 80, 86, 87, 87, 94, 99. So it was given in order, all right? Now, one thing that I did when I was working through this is I went ahead and just numbered their place, okay, in the number set, just making sure I had a count of how many numbers were here. Well, you see we have 8 numbers in this data set. So that means I am going to find between 4 and 5 what is my average, and that's going to serve as my median. So looking at this, I've got to do 86 plus 87 divide by 2 to get my median, which is 86.5. Okay, so that represents my Q2. Then, to find my Q1, I got to find the median of the lower half. Well, the median of the lower half is going to be in between the 79 and 80. So you're going to do the same type of math. So 79 plus 80 divided by 2 is equal to 79.5. That's my Q1. And over here, 87 plus 94 divided by 2, and I get 90.5, and that is my Q3. So now I have found all of the data points here. I'm going to go ahead and identify my minimum value is 77, because my minimum is my smallest. My maximum value is 99. So at this point, I have all the necessary numbers to do this. So the next thing is actually drawing it. So that you start out with a line. You draw a line, and we're going to go ahead and number this line. I'm going to start as low as 76, and I'm going to go as high as 100. And I need to label it in between. Okay, so I numbered it. I know in the 80s there I had to squish them in. I didn't do the best job on here. But I'm going to go ahead and draw a line at 77 for my minimum and a line at 99 for my maximum. Then I'm going to put in at 86.5. I'm going to put that. I'm going to draw a line there because that's my Q2. And then I'm going to have at 79.5, I'm a line there. And at 90.5, a line there. So now I'm going to draw my box. My box is my Q1 through my Q2. Okay, so that forms my box. And then I simply just draw the whiskers out to there. And that is my box and whisker plot of this data. And that gives me a visual idea of where the data is.